Today, we're fortunate to have two alumni here today to present From Survive to Thrive. Dr. Susan Okuno-Jones is Vice President and CNO at AMITA Alexian Brothers Medical Center in Elk Grove Village. A two-time graduate of UIC College of Nursing, having earned her MS and DNP here, she served in increasingly more executive leadership roles throughout her career. Among her most notable positions, she was System VP of Nursing Practice and Innovation for Advocate Healthcare, which included the role of Magnet Program Director. Just before accepting her current position at AMITA, she was Vice President and CNO at Advocate Good Samaritan Hospital, a role that included serving as Executive Director of Service Lines, supporting both in and outpatient care. Susan has earned ANCC certification in nursing professional development and as a nurse executive advanced. She's also a fellow in the American College of Healthcare Executives. Our second presenter is Dr. Alice Siehoff, founder and CEO of Siehoff Consulting. While Alice and Susan have a few things in common, they were classmates in the DNP program here while at UIC and also colleagues at Advocate. Alice's path curved away from patient care and into the world of consulting. She has 30 years of experience in both clinical and academic nursing settings, including leading professional development for Advocate, as well as developing curriculum at Chamberlain College of Nursing. In 2016, Alice founded Siehoff Consulting, where she uses her experience along with her certifications as a resilience coach and a narrative coach to help healthcare leaders and organizations create sustainable improvements to operations, growth strategy, and service delivery. Like Susan, Alice has earned ANCC certification in nursing professional development and as a nurse executive advanced. Please join me in welcoming Susan Okuno-Jones and Alice Siehoff.
Thank you, Caitlin. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. First of all, Alice and I are really grateful to be able to spend this time with you. The topic for today's discussion is about leadership. For some in the audience, this may be a newer topic, newer content, and for others of us, hopefully this will be a nice review. With the significance of this past year, I have to say right on us personally, as well as professionally, as well as the impact on our nursing profession, this discussion is intended to move us as nurses and nursing leaders from a state of survival to a state in which we are thriving, where we're growing, we continue to prosper and flourish. So we thank you in advance for taking this time for you. Next slide. Alice and I will be tag teaming our discussion, and I'm fortunate to go first. And these are the areas that we're going to cover. A business case for leadership, impact of nursing leadership, effective leadership skills and behaviors, and then leaving us with opportunities for us. What can we do? Next slide. With almost 4 million nurses, we know and we feel it daily that the supply of nurses currently is not meeting our current demand. Nursing shortages are not new to nursing, unfortunately, and it's really no wonder we're all exhausted because our current nursing shortage started in 2012. In Illinois, we have employed over 157,000 nurses. And in order to create a visualization of the magnitude of the American nursing shortage, data shown here compares the state of Illinois' population to the most recent statistic on the employment of nurses and gives us the number of 12.4 working nurses per 1,000 residents. As a frame of reference, South Carolina has the largest nursing shortage, revealing 8 nurses per 1,000 population, followed by Nevada and California with a little over 9 nurses per 1,000 population. Additionally, in 2020, we saw more nurses retiring from the nursing workforce than ever before. And unfortunately, this forecast doesn't look any better. It is anticipated that next year in 2022, an additional 500,000 nurses will be retiring, leaving us with a little over 1 million nurses in need. It will be difficult for us to catch up as we look at the average age of the employed nurse currently at about 47 to 48 years of age. Also, next year, we're anticipating more than 100,000 nursing positions or jobs will be open. And this number was staggering to me. For every 155,000 nurses that join the profession annually, half of them are leaving within 2 years. Next slide. Further compelling data includes, of the healthcare related COVID deaths that we unfortunately experienced, 32% of those deaths were nurses. On the academic side, although nursing schools, they're reporting a 10 to 15% uptick in applicants, so their enrollment is going up, they still remain unable to keep pace with the projected demand for the increase in nursing services. We lack the necessary number of school faculty, and without teachers, we know that we have thousands that want to enter the field but just can't get into programs. In addition, we have an aging population in the United States, and this continues to drive the demand more and more for increased nursing services. Other reports share the concern that the health of nurses in the media was not portrayed as a priority this pandemic, leaving many in schools questioning their career choice and actually leaving mid-program for other careers. And we know at the organization level, we're facing financial constraints and feeling that as well. These constraints are having us reevaluate our priorities. And this includes reallocation of financial resources away from education and professional development and moving them more towards operations. This is shifting the financial burden that once was shared with organizations, either partially or fully with the applicant, now putting that whole shift of the financial burden on the nurse who now must cover the cost. And within organizations, nursing leadership structures are being redesigned in order to meet the overwhelming need for nurses to remain at the bedside to meet patient needs. This in turn is leaving fewer formal, and I use air quotes for that, formal leadership roles for our nurses, who in turn are looking outside of the acute care setting and even outside of the workforce to advance their careers for growth opportunities. Next slide. So the good thing is it's not all doom and gloom. So there are things that we can do and things that we know. We do know that nursing leaders are in a pivotal position to impact organizational outcomes. We know that the relationship between the leader and the associate can greatly impact both engagement and retention. And the leadership style here plays such an important role that it's worth mentioning. We hear and we talk about transformational leadership, and what does that mean? I've heard transformational leadership described as the connection between the mind and the heart. And I love this picture because it's up to us as nurse leaders to engage the heart and the mind of all of our teams. We do know that transformational leadership has been linked to better retention, improved engagement, and improved care. Transformational leadership engages associates to the level where they're willing and wanting to work collectively toward a common goal in a supportive environment. And when nurses are engaged and feel supported in their professional practice, we see improved quality, safety, and the way we deliver care has improved as well. And if we all were familiar with the Donna-Beedian model of structure and process equals outcomes, if we as nurse leaders focus on good team construction, which is our structure, it increases the likelihood of having good teamwork, our processes, which leads to better patient outcomes. Next slide. The importance of this list is that we all started working on these skills and behaviors with our education and training. These skills are essential at all levels of both nursing as well as nursing leadership for us to be as effective as possible. In a recent study published in the Nurse Leader, June 2021, key strategies for nurse leaders to engage nurses was identified. And the study group was actually new grads. I was excited to see this because there's a couple of things we know in the study revealed that the first year turnover rate is now at 25%. That tells us that 1/4 of the newest members to our nursing workforce are turning over every single year. I know this is a priority for my organization and my system, and I'm sure others as well. Some of the key strategies worth mentioning on this list include communication and listening. And it's listening with the intent to understand. This is really probably the number one key strategy that is so essential in relationship building, trust building, and it's such a display of caring and respect when we are effectively communicating and actively listening. Empowering our nurses and supporting nurses in their professional development. And such things as flexibility in their work schedule to accommodate coursework, as well as partnering to help identify what opportunities and growth and development are our team members looking for and what can we offer them in the practice setting. And the last behavior I want to touch on, and I know Alice is going to cover this quite a bit in her presentation, is that of role modeling. It's not on the list, but it's important enough to make mention of. Early in my leadership career, it was shared with me that as a leader, you are on stage all the time. People are watching you, what you say, what you don't say, what you do and what you don't do. So even when you think no one is watching, they are. It's not to make you paranoid, but it's to actually shed light that we are a role model for others. We need to have that sense of self-awareness and make sure that we are keeping check with our emotions. If you are feeling negative, if you're feeling frazzled or distracted, I encourage us to ask ourselves, am I encouraging or discouraging new leaders? We can be the best recruiters for future nursing leaders or not. Some of these innate skills and behaviors, some of these innate skills and behaviors come very naturally. Others we may have to work on. But the good news is that through our careers, through exposure and experience, they will continue to develop over time. So before I finish up my section, we've got a quick poll question that I'm going to ask Sarah to thank you. So if you would please submit your responses. Number one, do you have a mentor? And the second is, are you a mentor? We'll give you 30 seconds. Okay. Well, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That never happens. A split. Okay, so we have opportunities, I think, on both ends of this. So thank you for participating in the survey. There are opportunities for us as nurses and nursing leaders to own and act on. And I'm just going to review some of these. The first is identification of nursing leadership as a specialty. We're all very proud of the expertise that we've gained and grown and developed over our careers. But acknowledging leadership as a specialty, I think, is really at the top. There's many benefits and positive impacts to this. Number one, to the individual. This acknowledges that personal commitment to the profession and the personal accomplishment, as well as recognition of mastery of skills, knowledge, and their abilities. Leadership specialty as a certification also benefits organizations. Certification oftentimes is a vehicle to organizations to be that differentiator amongst their competitors. Certification strongly demonstrates to consumers and communities that they actually attracted the best, most qualified and skilled nursing professionals. The second opportunity for us is to identify those leadership opportunities. And this includes both formal as well as informal opportunities. And this is really a method of pushing and pulling. Pushing means looking and encouraging your nurses to leadership opportunities on the unit, at the site level, or if you're part of a larger system, at a system level as well. And the pull comes in when we have an environment that is encouraging and empowering of our staff to reach up and out and ask for and seek those growth opportunities. And to grow and develop future nursing leaders, we talked about role modeling. Coaching is absolutely a key to helping develop, helping to identify those leadership skills in folks that they themselves may not have yet identified. And then mentoring is one that I'm going to cover in the next slide. But for all of us as leaders, either new or experienced, we must engage and commit to continual development ourselves. This is the only way that we're going to be best prepared to help develop our future nurses. Next slide. So I am going to put in a plug for our alumni mentoring program. This is one of the strategies to grow and develop. And I just want to share that this is a great opportunity. This is supported through UIC College of Nursing. And according to our poll, we have 50% opportunity to grow our mentors and 50% opportunity to grow our mentees. Next slide. So a little bit about this program. This program launched in 2019. And the intent of this program was to make a connection between practicing nurses in whichever field, acute care, even outside, you know, Alice herself in the consulting world, but connecting nurses that are practicing with early career nurses. This connection is absolutely essential for developing, fostering a sense of belonging and enculturation into the profession of nursing. This opportunity of sharing and advisement has many benefits to both mentor and mentee. Some things that have come out of mentor-mentee relationships include increased self-confidence, self-awareness, leadership skill development, strong communication skills, the art of listening, the art of having crucial conversation, delivering feedback, the art of asking great questions, and as well as exposing both mentor-mentee to different perspectives. Last slide. So if you are interested in becoming a part of a solution to our nursing shortage, I encourage you to enroll in this program. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this program since the very beginning, sitting on the steering committee. And at the risk of sounding a little cheesy here, I have to say, I feel that I get out as much, if not more, from my mentees when I'm meeting with them. I've learned more about myself, the good, the bad, the ugly, if you will, as well as how I can become a better leader today than I was yesterday. So thank you for your time. I will turn it over to Alice.
Thank you very much, Susan. I am delighted to be here today. And in my section of the presentation, we will be describing leadership lessons learned from the pandemic and also discuss the importance of self-care. And before we start in on the leadership lessons, I want to preface that section. In the literature, there are lessons emerging that all of us learned. And although the height of the pandemic was unlike any other crisis in history, there have been these lessons, and some of them are lessons of material on a deeper level. Some were learnings about things in a different way, in a different context. But leadership is a journey, and we all have the opportunity to relearn, revalidate things on a different level. Next slide, please. So the first lesson was, as Susan alluded to, leaders set the tone. All eyes are always on leaders, but more acutely during times of crisis. There was an article published in Harvard Business Review by Rosabeth Moss Cantor in 2020. And Cantor suggests that the biggest immediate key to bouncing back after a disaster is for leaders to set the right tone from the top. To set the tone, we as leaders need to be self-aware. And self-awareness takes a lot of work, and it's inner work. Self-awareness and that deeper reflection and understanding of yourself is not for the weak. It's a very deliberate, very important process. And it also allows us to manage difficult emotions. And that is critical to leadership also. Leaders need to instill a sense of calm and direction, even in the midst of a crisis. And you need to, as leaders, show up in situations that illustrate, in a way that illustrates your values, your purpose, your leadership strengths, and trust yourself and be true to your purpose. And know in your bones that you are enough. The second learning is that communication is key. Open, honest communication and accountability from the top helps during a crisis, as well as in the recovery process. Honest communication provides that sense of trust in addition to emotional safety for all around you. And don't forget about the power of nonverbal communication. So people look to leaders and notice things like what words they're using or what actions. Do their actions correlate with their words? And what kind of body language are leaders displaying? So communication, it needs to happen clear and often during a crisis. And that helps us all to see what is essential. And leaders do not have the answers to everything. They absolutely do not, but they set the direction. So that's very important because others need a sense of direction. Next slide. The power of purpose. Purpose is actually a webinar in and of itself. Purpose really alludes to what do you value and how do your values feed into your personal purpose? How do you honor your purpose in each and every moment of life and work? And I would be so bold as to say that the greatest gift that we can give ourselves as leaders and people on the leadership journey is to be clear about your purpose. Be clear and honor it in each moment. Life is lived in moments, so honor your purpose. Cantor from 2020, the article I alluded to from Harvard Business Review, actually suggests that reliance on core values and purpose provide assurance in the face of uncertainty, even before solutions are available. So we went for many months facing an invisible enemy. We didn't have a lot of solutions. But if leaders can really lead from a place of purpose, from their values, that's extremely helpful. Also, working and living in alignment with our purpose helps us to feel more fulfilled and less stressed. Purpose can be future-oriented or present-oriented. Choose something that you want in the present, like today. What do you want for yourself? And make sure that your actions support that purpose for your day. Or you could have more long-term purposes, like a career goal. And again, deliberate movement related to that purpose is very important. Another lesson is connectedness. We are all interconnected. We rely on other people for innovation, for creativity, for collaboration. It's so important. And in an ongoing way, I think we've all learned that we're going to be partnering with different parts of our communities that we never thought we would be doing. We're going to be doing things in a different way. In 2020, an article appeared in the New Yorker where author Douglas Starr reminded us of the phenomenon of swarm intelligence. And swarm intelligence means that experts from several groups come together and they're on a mission during a crisis. Capabilities are magnified when we all work together for a common purpose. So that is called swarm intelligence. Very important. So acknowledging the expertise of others and utilizing it. And the last item here is that self-care is critical. And we've known this, we've known it for years. We've known it about staff, we've known it about leaders, we've known it about people in all walks of life. But self-care is extremely important because we can't give from an empty cup. So it's important for us to keep ourselves filled and healthy. A great example of self-care is when you get on an airplane and at the beginning of your flight, a flight attendant gives the instructions, the safety instructions, and they always talk about if cabin pressure is lost, an oxygen mask comes down from the ceiling. And the instructions that they give are always put your own mask on first and then help others around you. And that's really awesome advice because as leaders, we cannot give to others unless we have filled our own cup. And also we need to speak to ourselves as if we're speaking to a friend. You know, try not to be so hard on yourself. Even if you have a self-care plan and the day doesn't go the way you might want it to go, be kind to yourself. But one question I would ask all of you to ponder and hold is, how does the quality of your leadership change related to your own self-care? If you're running on empty, if your cup is empty, how does that impact your leadership? If your cup is full, how does that impact your leadership? So very, very important. Next slide, please. So let's do a little deeper dive into really what is self-care, because it's really a set of skills or practices, and it's activities that contribute to your health and well-being. Self-care habits keep us grounded in our own values and purpose. And healthy self-care habits improve our quality of life, and they improve actually our resilience. Self-care is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a program. Find your own unique set of self-care actions and be fierce in the care of yourself. It is not selfish and it's not one-size-fits-all. So now we're going to have the opportunity to do another poll. Sarah, if you can launch that. And this is for, not for being hard on yourselves or being critical of yourself, but more of a self-awareness type of a poll. So think back over about the last month and estimate how many times in a week that you actually did activities or completed activities that related to your own self-care, and fill in the poll. I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, thank you for completing our poll. So 0 to 2 times per week was the most common answer. More than half of us. 2 to 3 times per week is fairly high, 27%. But the most number of times per week, 6 to 7, 12% of us. So again, just a little opportunity for reflection there. Thank you, Sarah. So let's talk, before we leave this slide, a little bit about resilience. And we said that self-care actually contributes to individual resilience. So what do we mean when we say resilience? Several definitions of resilience exist. My personal favorite from an author in the UK, Carol Pemberton, is the ability to remain flexible in our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors when faced by a life disruption or extended periods of pressure, so that we emerge from difficulty stronger, wiser, and more able. So yes, resilience doesn't prevent hard things from happening in life, but when we do things that cultivate individual resilience, and self-care is certainly related to that, we are able to actually come through things with a lot of work. I'm not saying it's easy, but we want to emerge from things a little stronger, a little wiser than we were before. And that is what resilience is. Next slide, yes. From the HeartMath Institute, there comes 4 actual domains or areas of resilience. And all of these domains, and these are just considerations for you as you think about your own self-care plan. The domains are interrelated and they each affect the other. Some people might be more resilient in one domain or the other, but resilience can be built in all domains. That's the good news. And when we talked about, Susan talked about the heart and the body being aligned. These domains of resilience sort of help us with our awareness about that. So the first domain is physical, and that relates to our physical bodies, our flexibility, our strength, our stamina, endurance. Things like rest and nutrition and exercise impact that. And thinking about what physical activities ground you, what physical activities make you feel better. The next is emotional domain. And emotions, everyone has them, and emotions can be very overwhelming, and they can also be contagious. But you want to pay attention to your feelings. You want to identify your feelings, and when you actually identify them, that helps to decrease their intensity. So we don't avoid feelings, but we deal with them, and we get the help we need to manage them if we need that. Mental domain refers to attention span, our ability to focus, our tolerance of different points of view. Lifelong learning is part of the mental domain as well. And then the last domain is spiritual domain. And that's tolerance of other people's beliefs. It's our own belief system. It's how we connect to our passion and our purpose in life. It's inspiration. That's part of a spiritual domain. What inspires you? That is definitely part. So when you think about a care plan, think about these different domains and how you can create a plan that is unique for you. Next slide, please. What are some resilience building practices? So as nurses, we often pay attention to the needs of others. And again, nurse leaders set the tone for self-care, for resilience-related behaviors and activities. And it's difficult for nurses because many of us have different roles in life. We're leaders, we're mothers, we're fathers, we're sisters, we're brothers, we're children. We have many roles in life. So self-care can be very difficult, and some of these resilience building activities can be difficult. So the first practice I want to discuss is self-awareness. And self-awareness is just really paying attention to how you feel and what your body is telling you. Managing your energy. You know, sometimes I'll just say to myself, you know what, I don't have the energy for that today, but I'm going to do it tomorrow. Or I just need to take a break and then I will get back to this activity. So really aware of how you're feeling. Connecting to your compassion or caring. And I really want to emphasize here, there's two kinds of compassion. We have compassion for others and we have compassion for ourselves. And really focusing on that compassion for yourself, which is being kind and understanding of yourself, and trying not to be so harsh and critical, but realizing, hey, I'm a human being and human beings are not perfect. So what can I learn from this and how can I do it better next time? That's the important thing. And really just befriending yourself. If you want to read more about self-compassion, Dr. Kristen Neff from the University of Texas has done, it's NEFF, has done groundbreaking research on the concept of self-compassion. She just published her second book. So take a look at that. But offer yourself that acceptance and warmth and just develop a compassion for yourself in your mind. Relationship management is something else. And relationship management just means nurturing healthy relationships with your family and friends. And also accepting support from other people. The most resilient people actually accept help when they need it. And they manage relationships and put relationships first. For example, if you have a friend that you know, due to the pandemic or due to work or due to life in general, you haven't been able to get together with, well, maybe, you know, think about creating space in your life for that. We're all busy and that's not going to change. But how can you create space in your life for those life-giving relationships? And how can you do more things with people that you care about? And remember to laugh and play and recharge. We're not good at recharging. Nurses are not good at recharging. And what that means is stopping strategically what you're doing and kind of resetting. Okay, stop strategically. I need a break right now. I need to just go outside for 5 minutes and take some deep breaths and just, you know, try hard to just take a break. Breaks throughout the day are known to be helpful. And remember to laugh and play. We all need to play, no matter what age we are. Next slide, please. Gratitude is something that I wanted to pull out. There's been a lot of research on gratitude. It's one of those positive emotions that helps us to feel better, that helps us to be okay in the moment. And gratitude is something that is a practice, and it helps us to develop optimism. It also helps us to increase self-awareness. And a practice of gratitude just looks as simple as what am I grateful for today? And just be grateful, even write it down. I have a practice every day of just writing 3 things down every day that I'm really grateful for. Next slide, please. Mindfulness. A lot of research on mindfulness also. And mindfulness is just being present in the present moment. It's very hard for us, no matter what part of our nursing journey we're in. Some of us are newer to nursing. Some of us are students. Some of us have been nurses for a while and we're going back for another degree. So we're a student again and we're a nurse. Some of us are leaders, new leaders. Some of us are seasoned leaders. But really, how can we just focus on the present, just make sure that we're bringing some focus into the present moment and not always thinking about the next thing. And it's not that it's not okay to plan and think about things, but sometimes we need to take a break from planning ahead and just be where we are, just be in the present moment. In fact, the definition of mindfulness is present moment awareness. Mindfulness has been shown to facilitate job performance. It's been known to cultivate individual resilience. It helps also to decrease stress. And it does that by bringing that calm and focus. And also it helps us to see meaning in the moment, even when we feel stressed. So I want to invite all of you now to participate as you feel okay doing in a moment of loving kindness, mindfulness activity. And it's not long. It's one of those mini breaks that we're giving you permission to participate in here in the middle of your day. So this is adapted from the work of Dr. Shelley Harrell, who is a mindfulness expert and a psychologist. And she calls it soul-centered phrases for loving kindness for yourself. So I would invite you to just relax your body, whether you're sitting or standing. Just roll back your shoulders and open up your heart space. Have your feet firmly planted on the ground. And just deliberately relax your shoulders, your neck. Unclench your hands too. Open your hands and just gently place them on your lap. And I would invite you to either close your eyes or just gently gaze your eyes downward, whatever you're comfortable with. And just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, in through your nose and out through your mouth. And know that you're okay right now in this moment. And I would invite you to just let these phrases wash over you, replenishing, refreshing, and nourishing your soul. May you live in truth and be free. May the light of truth open your eyes and liberate your soul to express its highest calling. May you hear your inner wisdom voice and discern its messages from the illusions, projections, hype, and lies outside. Just hear your own inner wisdom. May any imprisoned part of your being be liberated, unchained, unshackled from all that keeps you in bondage in any way. May you release and let go of habits, patterns, and behaviors that no longer serve you. May you know that within each moment lives the freedom to choose and begin again. May you know the divine truth of who you really are, your words, your value, your gifts, and your purpose. May you be free. And just take a nice deep breath in through your mouth and out through your mouth. Thank you so much for letting me be with you today.
Thank you so much. I feel great after that mindfulness exercise. I hope everyone else does too.
Good.
So thank you both, Dr. Okuno-Jones and Dr. Siehoff. Let's give Susan and Alice a round of applause for their outstanding presentations. All right.
Thank you.
Now let's open it up for questions from the audience. Let me stop sharing this as well. Hold on just one second. Okay. We do have a few questions that people typed into the chat. Can you both speak to some of the challenges faced in nursing, given that there are at least 4 different generations currently working together? Any strategies for this?
I'll start, Alice, if you have any thoughts as well. So, this question speaks, I think, even on a broader scale to the diversity of our workforce. And there's been a lot of research done in this area, and there continues to be emerging research on how do we best engage, because different strategies work for different groups. So some of the things that we know in the literature, number one is honoring and respecting and acknowledge that we have 4 generations of nurses working together. And each generation, if you will, comes with their own gifts. I think an important piece that I'm just going to put in a plug here is we have to make sure that we are not unconsciously biasing somebody into a category just purely based on age. So it's just something to be mindful of. And then, of course, other key strategies include team building, really including those that do the work and making the decisions that impact their work, having a common goal. For an inpatient unit, it may be delivering safe, quality care each and every time. So when you have a common focus for a diverse group, everybody may get there differently, and that's okay. You want to honor and respect that, and that's how best practices emerge. But at the same time, we're all rowing, if you will, in that same direction toward that common goal.
I would say also, I go back to Stephen Covey, author Stephen Covey's phrase, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So really that deliberate seeking to understand others, and that goes across the board as well to any kind of a difference. And I really feel, to be grounded also and know who you are and know what you value and what your purpose is, and coming from a place of authenticity is also very helpful in helping you to work with anybody. I always say that the real relationships are the work of work. And I think as Susan and I both brought out in our presentations, relationships are key, and we need to really seek to, and we need to make them a priority, but seek to understand and then be understood.
Okay. Also, another question to both of you. What do you think is a leadership competency that new grads really need more of? And then there's a second part of this question that I'll ask after you guys talk about this one first.
So maybe this is just my inner my inner vulnerability coming out, but I think all of us have an opportunity with a key competency in communication. Making sure that we're clear, we're consistent, we're following up, to Alice's point, making sure that what we intended, the message to be delivered, was actually the message heard or received. So this is something I think we, once we nail this, we'll be able to solve for many other things, but I think communication is a key competency. And of course, we have professional organizations. AONL has nurse leader competencies that I encourage all leaders at any level, including staff nurses that are interested in leadership opportunities. What are those key competencies that I should and could be working on and developing as we speak? What was the second part to the question?
Okay, what are new grads doing well when they enter the job market? What can they focus on improving? For example, quality improvement might be strong, but a good grasp of budgeting, maybe not.
Yeah. So I think, the new grad today, the jury is still out, if you will, because their whole last year of education and skill acquisition was disrupted. They had to go to a different type of learning. I know at the hospital, we didn't see clinicals for months, where before we had folks banging on our door to get in. So I think that is an area that we have to better understand. What is the impact of the alternate learning the last year, where we're really counting on a lot of that skill acquisition and confidence building to be able to move into the clinical setting.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I also think too, having a mindset of lifelong learning, that, no matter what phase of your journey you're on, we need to make sure that we're always learning and always open to new opportunities to learn and to become more self-aware.
Okay. One last question. How can I begin self-care habits?
So that is first of all, it's important to know that habits, the word habits, is used pretty easily, but habits are tough. And the new research on habits suggests that to get a habit really ingrained so that it becomes semi-automatic really takes a minimum of 2 months. So, we all do our January, New Year's resolutions, and then we're upset in 2 weeks, January 15th, when we've already kind of fallen off the wagon and gone back to our old ways. So we need to make sure that we're aware that habits take a long time to develop, and you have to have that mindset. So making sure that you're really sitting down and taking stock. And the question I encourage people to ask is, and I really mean reflect on this and ask yourself, what do I need today? What do I need today? Well, I need to make sure that I eat lunch. I need to make sure that I drink enough water. I need to make sure that I just take some deep breaths. And a simple self-care activity is taking physical care of your body, but it is also things like taking deep breaths. I mean, just being for 5 minutes, just sitting and taking deep breaths is a start. And again, it's a journey. So really think about what you need. What do I need today? That is a good start.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our Q&A portion of this webinar. Thank you once again, Dr. Susan Okuno-Jones and Dr. Alice Siehoff, for this wonderful presentation. Let's give them another round of applause. And thanks to you all for joining us today. Just a few closing remarks before we conclude. Again, this was part of our series On Duty. Please visit go.uic.edu UIC.news-events to see all of our upcoming events in this series, as well as other events being planned for alumni and friends. Also, please consider joining our Alumni Mentor Program as a mentor or mentee, as was mentioned in this presentation. Susan has been a mentor, as she said, in the program since its inception. The program is now open for enrollment for its third year. You can go to go.uic.edu/nursing-amp for more information and where to sign up. Finally, also, please be sure to mark your calendars. Reunion 2021 this year is on Saturday, October 16th. We hope to see everyone in person. Whatever format it takes, it's sure to be a wonderful time. Please keep your eye on your mail and email invitations to soon be coming for further details. Again, our thanks to you all for being with us. Have a great rest of your day.